few months ago I posted a video about sending my HP notebook in for repair. It just had a simple problem with a rattling speaker. I had a 3-year care plan. I figured, what's the worst that can happen? As it turns out, quite a lot. The repair centre did what we might call a subpar service on my notebook. You can watch my other video to find out more about what happened. Particularly interesting is what happens when they run out of black screws.
It's clearly a silver screw that's been coloured in with a Sharpie. And not even coloured in neatly either. They've got Sharpie ink all over the base.
So anyway, somewhat later than I planned, here is the follow-up video. HP did in fact send me a brand new notebook. The day after I went to the Apple store and bought a new MacBook Pro. Stay tuned, I'll tell you what happened and some lessons that I learned along the way. I decided to go for this Spectre X360 in a 13-inch because I wanted a smaller footprint, simple as that. I had a Dell 15-inch XPS before and I found it a bit too big. When Intel introduced the new generation of processors, and then I was able to get a quad-core i7 in a 13-inch Ultrabook, well, I was sold on that. I was also able to spec this up with 16 gigs of RAM and a 1TB SSD. You've got an amazing 4K touchscreen that looks fantastic. You can use the laptop in tablet mode, and it comes with a pen to write with, and also you've got the tent mode as well, so that, you know, that's kind of useful for watching movies and things like that. A really versatile notebook, and you know, I just love the design of this thing. It looks fantastic. I liked it so much, the week after I bought mine, I bought another one for my wife. In fact, as it happens, this is her notebook. When I see my wife using her X360, I still feel a pang of jealousy. It's such a lovely looking notebook. But mine was spoiled slightly because the speaker started rattling. It's not a massive issue. I don't listen to loads of music on my notebook. I don't watch movies particularly often. So I wasn't too fussed. I just thought, I've got the 3-year care plan, better to sort it out sooner rather than later. If you want to find out what happened when I sent the notebook away for repair, have a look at my first video on that. One of the things I did state in that video is that the only solutions that I'd be prepared to accept were either a full refund or a replacement new notebook, which was my preference. I just wanted a replacement notebook. And I stated this very clearly to HP from the moment of first contact. And they asked me, quite rightly so, to send in photos of the notebook, which I did, and immediately the case was escalated. All the way along I'm sort of saying, you know, you're going to need to be sending me a new notebook here. I'm not going to accept another repair because I'm so unhappy. I finally had this long telephone call with a support agent, a more senior support agent. And he was very nice, he was very polite, and I think, you know, genuinely he was probably on my side. But he wouldn't deviate from the HP company line at all. And that company line was, you have another repair or you have nothing at all. Now in the UK, if you send a faulty item away for repair and the company fails to repair it on the first occasion, you're within your rights then to request a replacement. And I pointed that out to the support agent, but he came straight back at me by saying, but you're not a consumer. You bought this notebook for your business. Well, that's certainly true. I did buy the notebook for business, but what a strange position to take, to hide behind some obscure technicality like that. The fact that the support agent came back at me so quickly when I raised the issue of consumer rights indicates to me that he was prepared for me to ask that question or to point that out. And perhaps HP has a policy of hiding behind this distinction between a retail customer and a business customer, which seems a bit icky, doesn't it? And it doesn't make any business sense either. You know, I bought my notebook from HP's online store. I bought it direct from them. And I bought my wife's notebook from the HP online store. The only difference between those two purchases is that I use my personal card for my wife's computer and I use my business debit card for my computer. Now, fair enough, as a business owner buying a computer for business, I can claim back the VAT, I can offset the cost of the computer against my tax return, so I effectively get it cheaper. But I get it cheaper because I'm able to claim back that money from the government, not from HP. The amount of money that HP get from my purchase is exactly the same whether I'm buying for business or whether I'm a retail customer. Now, as a business owner, I don't understand HP's stance here. Which customer would you rather service? A retail customer who's going to make a one-off purchase every few years, perhaps for an £1,800 notebook, or a business customer who can potentially buy hundreds of notebooks and computers. Isn't it much better to give good service to the business customer? And in fact, I'm going to prove that should have been the case. So going back to the call with the support agent, things started to get heated, and I'm ashamed to say that I lost my temper with the support agent. In fact, I had to hang up the call in order to stop things getting out of hand. Unfortunately, he then sent me an email asking me if I'd like to proceed with the second repair. So I took the opportunity to apologise for the way I'd spoken to him, and I accepted the second repair. What else was I going to do at this point? Now this got me to thinking. After the call, I sort of sat down and I was thinking about my experiences with Dell, my experiences with Apple over the years. And specifically, I thought about why couldn't HP be more like Apple in the way they deal with customers? Now I know that there are a lot of people out there who've had bad experiences with Apple as well, and I'm certainly not out to say that your experience wasn't genuine or that you're wrong or start a debate in any way actually. I'm just going on my own personal experience. I've owned a few Apple products over the years and I've had to buy plenty through business. And my experience is that generally Apple hardware is very good. I've had plenty of problems with Apple hardware, but Apple, the company, has always stood behind its product and they've always sorted out the issues. An example of this is I bought one of the very first MacBook Pro Retinas when they first came out. And after a couple of months, maybe 3 months, I started to notice that my screen was retaining picture. So you'd sort of switch the laptop off and the picture would still be on the screen for a while. So I phoned Apple and I said, this is a problem. They told me to take it to an Apple store. I said, that's a long way for me to drive. So they came and picked it up. They took the laptop away, they put a new screen in it and they delivered it back to me. And I didn't even have Apple Care. Some 2 or 3 months after that, the replacement screen started to develop a different problem where it would have light spots on the screen, like light was burning through the screen. So I phoned them again and I just said, I'm not happy with this particular generation. It seems like it's a new product and you haven't worked out the kinks yet. They were still selling the previous generation MacBook Pro, so I spec'd up one of those to the same price and asked them if they would exchange it. And you know what? They did. And they sent me an iPod Nano for my troubles. And that's just one example of many from dealing with Apple over the years. They stand behind their product. It's not usually that difficult to get past the gatekeepers and to speak to someone senior in the support team to get your problem resolved. So here I am sat thinking about this call that I've just had with HP and about the experiences I've had with Apple over the years. And it just dawned on me that I've got to ditch HP, I've got to go and get myself another Apple. That's the only solution as far as I saw it. So I wanted the problem resolved. I drove straight to the Apple store and I bought a MacBook Pro 15-inch with a touch bar, which is a nice laptop. I know that most people who might find themselves in this situation where they're waiting for a company like HP to deal with a problem like this, they're probably not in a position where they can just go out and drop $2,500 on a new notebook. And I do accept that. I'm not in that position either. This is a work machine and the company paid for the replacement. And the reason why is because this HP was ruined for me. I couldn't trust it anymore and I didn't want it. So I figured we could maybe recycle it within our business, or we would put it on eBay or something like that when we got the repaired notebook back. The very next day after I bought this new Apple MacBook Pro, I got a call from the same support agent at HP and he told me they were sending me a brand new notebook. I couldn't believe it. But as it happens, the particular specification that I had wasn't available anymore. So they did a custom order to build me the exact same notebook, rather than just send me something of equivalent value from the current lineup. Because of this, it took nearly 4 weeks to arrive. By then I'd moved on, I had the new Apple notebook, I'd already switched everything back to Apple Mac from Windows, so I just decided to sell the HP. So I put it on eBay and I got just over £1,000 for it. That's a premium Ultrabook with a quad-core i7, 16 gig of RAM and a terabyte SSD, 4K touchscreen. It was literally 55% of what I paid for it. That's what we got back, and that's for a brand new, still sealed. It was still in its plastic wrapping. Now, I find that amazing as well, and as a business owner, it's worth knowing that I could use my new Apple MacBook Pro for 3 years, then put it on eBay, and I would still get 55% of the value back. And I know that because we dispose of our equipment after 3 years, and typically we get somewhere between 40 and 60% of the value back. So a lot of the premium that you pay for an Apple in the first place, you do recover that if you sell the unit on second-hand later. So here's the problem as I see it. Computing has changed, and the way that we use our devices has changed. You know, these things are more to us now than just machines. We don't have a computer table sat in the corner of the room anymore. You know, we're carrying around a mobile phone in our pocket that we're able to do almost everything on. And we've got tablets, we've got computers. These things are now part of our life. They're a connection to the outside world. We communicate with friends, we go shopping, we entertain ourselves, we work, we earn a living through this equipment. So it's special to us, and we make an emotional attachment with our equipment. And this is something that HP has completely failed to appreciate. You see, the reason folks will go out and spend a load of money on a premium product like this is because it looks good. It's because it's got a style that fits in with our lifestyle. It's because it's something we can form an emotional attachment. They didn't recognise, for instance, when I phoned up the support service, that I felt violated. I felt like I'd been a victim of crime because of what had happened to me and my very personal notebook, you see, at the hands of these guerrillas at the repair centre. Now, Apple, on the other hand, completely understands this emotional attachment. In fact, they've built their entire brand around it. Their packaging, the stores, everything they do is linked to the fact that they know we create an emotional attachment with our devices. They're more to us than the sum of their parts. And if you can't understand that concept, HP, you can't compete in the premium notebook space. Now, I would definitely say I'm not an Apple fanboy. I'm perfectly happy using Windows, I'm perfectly happy using Mac OS. I don't particularly agree with Apple as a corporation. I don't like the way that they behave. I don't like the way some of their product design is going. But at the end of the day, their products are good. And in my experience, they stand behind their products. And as a business owner and as someone who needs to work and earn a living with my computer, then that means a lot to me. It's important. So I'll stick with Apple until something better comes along. So HP have lost a customer in me, a business customer. And that got me to thinking about all of the computer equipment that we've bought since this happened with HP. It wasn't just one of these MacBook Pro 15 inches. We've bought 3 of them since that time, and also a 13 inch with a touch bar, and 2 iPad Pro 12.9 inches, and in fact 2 iMacs like the one you see behind me, the 27 inch 5K iMac. Now if you add all of that up together, that's about £15,000 of spend. Now your average consumer is not going to continually spend £15,000 every 5 or 6 months or so, but even a small business like ours can spend that kind of money and will continue to spend that kind of money going forwards. Now, some of that money could have been HP's. In fact, all of that money could have been HP's, because we're not tied to a particular platform. You know, all the software we use runs on both Windows and on Mac. We don't mind. But all of the money went to Apple because Apple stand behind their products, in my experience. And in this case, HP haven't. So because of this experience, we deliberately didn't buy HP when we were spending that £15,000. The decision to treat retail customers better than business customers is nonsense. And any business owner should pay attention to that fact. Now, £15,000 is a drop in HP's ocean, but if I was a senior executive at HP, this would concern me greatly. I'd be really worried to hear a story like this, because it won't just be us that's had this problem. It won't just be me that's refusing to buy HP products based on my support experience. This video may come across like I'm a bit of an Apple fanboy and I'm dissing the HP, and really nothing could be further from the truth. I chose Apple because it made sense for me as a business, and I didn't buy any more HP because they lost my trust as a customer. But that doesn't mean that they don't know how to make a brilliant product. This Spectre X360 laptop is a fantastic piece of engineering. It's a really well-made device. It's really nice to use. It looks fantastic. It's good quality. And the keyboard especially is wonderful, particularly when compared to the awful keyboard on this MacBook Pro. Anyway, that's enough of my rambling, and if you've made it this far without falling asleep, thank you and well done. And I just wanted to say sorry actually for the delay in posting this second part. I wasn't happy with the quality of my first two videos, and I knew that we were putting this set together for work, so I thought I'd hang on and wait until it was done and I could use it. So I'm hoping over the coming weeks and months to post more content. There'll be a bit more geekery rather than ranting about problems that I've had with my hardware. So if that's your sort of cup of tea, then please consider subscribing, and if you enjoyed my rants, well, please hit the like button, and I'll see you next time.